What's up, everybody? It's Matt Johnson. We are back with another episode of Real Estate Uncensored. This is the place where you get actionable ideas, insight, and inspiration to turn your real estate business into a life of freedom and become the rock star agent in your market. And we've got a phenomenal episode for you today. We've got Dan Beers back with us today. We're talking about farming, specifically how to do farming with a direct response approach and really be the anti-realtor. So we're talking about some unconventional, counterintuitive techniques that he's developed to farm a huge area, 32,000 homes here in San Diego County, to generate $1.7 million in GCI. So we're going to dive into some of the specifics of how he's done that, some takeaways that you guys will get out of it, and all kinds of good stuff. So before we bring Dan in, my co-partner, my co-pilot, in the co-pilot seat, Greg McDaniel, the junior grandmaster himself. What's up today?
What's up, Matt? Dan, welcome back, man. We are pumped to have you. You know what? This last couple of days have had me thinking a lot about a lot of stuff that has been, that really comes together in just life. My grandmother, who was 92, passed away on Sunday. She went rapidly downhill and then, was taken from us. But the family is kind of coming around this, and I've had a lot of time to reflect back onto that. And I want us to, Dan's going to really do a great job of breaking it down on, farming and marketing tactics and techniques and everything else. But I want you guys to also spend a lot of time and think about your family, your friends, your loved ones, the things you love to do, because you never know when your day is going to be your last one. No joke. My grandma was fine on Thanksgiving. Matt, you met her on Thanksgiving. Yeah. She was cranking along and just boom, dead. Yeah. So life is short. And then my friend Gail, I love this woman. She's a massive person over at Send.Cards. She sent me a card with the cockpit of a new boat with this full inside of what my new boat's going to look like. And this thing is like a $130,000 boat starting. Then she sent me this cool little key. It says Dreamer on it. So it's the key to dreams right here. And guys, just respect and understand the small things in life. It's important to really go hard in business, but also go hard in life. I mean, because you really want you to go give your parents, your grandparents, your sister, your brother, your dog, your cat, your goldfish, go give something that you love a kiss and a hug today, just to let them know they're pretty special for you. Because we talk a lot about business, but it's all about living life, not just living for business. So those are my thoughts, Matt.
All right.
So there you go.
Well, and for anyone who's watching live or listening or whatever the case is, make sure to send Greg some love, send him some Facebook messages, and feel free to send him Starbucks gift cards, because then he'll give them to me. So Dan, let's welcome you in officially back to the show. Dan, we appreciate you being here.
Thanks, man. It's good to be back with you guys. I love the way you have fun with this. So
yeah. And we're going to have a lot of fun and deliver a ton of value too. So this is going to be a fun episode. Just for those that may not know who you are, obviously you're one of the top agents in all of San Diego and the country in general. They may have caught your last episode, but just in case they didn't, give everybody a sense of where you're at, what your sales were like last year, and how big the team is.
So we're in San Diego, California. We serve the whole county, and really if you have anything in Southern California and you want to make sure it's placed with the best, which may actually be us referring you to somebody further outside of our direct reach in Southern California, we'll make sure we connect you with the best. Mm-hmm. We are what I would call a fully leveraged, fully built out team. Mm-hmm. Our sales for last year were 222 sides, which was $164 million of sales volume, 2017. And 2017 was a fun year. We also got the distinction, or we were awarded with, I believe it's number 831 on the Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing companies in America, and that's just our little beer home team here in San Diego. So. Wow. Pleased to serve and looking to serve more families here this coming 2018.
Dude, that is epic, man. Knuckles to you on that. Shit, that's a big deal on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's huge. And so you give me just a quick sense of the breakdown of the team, who does what, and are they specialized like classic kind of KW model?
We've gone away from the specialized blueprint that we were very tightly on for a long time. Mm-hmm. We now what we call general. We have what we call general sales agents, mm-hmm. and then we still do, however, have what we call a company listing agent. Okay. And I know we're going to focus a lot on marketing and farming, but just the 2-minute version of it is we've decided that in order to scale to where we want to go, we wanted to open up our agents' world, our agents' ability to learn both sides of the business and to contribute more at a higher level. So we have now general agents, but in order to maintain the right margins and in order to have the right profit coming into the business to be able to feed all the marketing we do, because we're very heavy on marketing, that company listing agent role is critical. Is that company listing agent role becomes somebody that gets somebody or two or three people, depending on the size of your business, that get fed at a very steady rate, who have a very, very narrow, specific job, but they're absolutely killers when it comes to going, competing, and getting a listing. Mm-hmm. But because they have so much volume, you can drop the traditional split that most are paid. You're still making a phenomenal six-figure, multi-six-figure living, while the company gets to keep the proper margins to make the general model on the other side of the business make sense and financially viable.
Right.
So that's on the agent side. They're supported by 2 ISAs. They're supported by 2 showing agents. And then on the administrative side of the business, there's essentially myself as the visionary, and then Laura Bronca, who's just key to our business. She's phenomenal. She's really the heart of the operation. I'm traveling. I go to different parts of the country. I'm on speaking tours. And so Laura, think of her as almost like the CEO. I typically call her the COO, but really like the CEO without one piece, which I keep, which is the vision of the company. But aside from that, you then have the rest of your department heads, right? So marketing, head of sales, head of operations, HR, finance report to Laura, and her job is to make sure that all of the functions in the business are running smoothly, and that the communication paths are wide open so that we can run at a faster level. That's a high-level view of how we're structured: listing manager, transaction manager. They have an assistant plus 2 VAs. That's okay,
and 2 quick follow-ups to that before we dive into the farming stuff. Are you guys, so you use some of the terminology of the EOS. Are you guys fully on the entrepreneur operating system?
100%.
100%. Okay.
So yeah, if you read Traction, if you read Rocket Fuel, so she's my integrator in that, in the language of EOS.
And then do you have like all those roles that you mentioned? Are those individual people that are in those roles, or people filling multiple seats right now?
So I was filling the visionary role, head of sales, head of marketing.
Okay.
Last year, I replaced myself out of the head of sales role. We now have a sales manager who's part of our executive team, and his role is to scale the sales team. That's also when we made the shift from specialized agents to the general agent model. I'm still in the marketing director role officially, except for I'm completely firing myself because I'm no longer delivering to the business the way I'm supposed to. So we're actually in the middle of, if you know somebody that's a very high-level, awesome marketing director, and I mean a true marketing director, okay, not someone that just puts the graphics together and sends them to the printer. Not that person. The person that's conceptualizing marketing funnels, that's looking at conversion points, that's writing copy and understands the whole funnel start to finish. We're looking for someone that's better than I am and that has the time to dedicate to it, which I'm failing at currently. So I'm fired. We're hiring myself out of that role, which is cool too because we'll have another executive level contributor on the team. Yeah. Laura does occupy the ops, HR, and finance seats. So we're also in conversation now though to get her out of the ops seat.
Yeah, makes sense.
So yeah.
Okay.
But it's a great question though, because I think for anybody listening, you hear all this, it seems overwhelming, and you think, well, boy, I don't have all those things. You actually have to come to a place where you realize that you do. It just might be you in every seat.
Yeah.
And then it might be you and one other person in every seat. But every business, regardless of how big or small it is, has sales, marketing, operations, finance, and HR. Now, finance and HR are the easier ones because those are very simple to outsource out for the time being. Yeah. Now, you still have to be accountable to it. Right, but you could outsource the bookkeeping and outsource the payroll, for example. But every business is made up of that. And then as your sales grow, as revenues grow, and as you're ready to invest back in your business, the key for you as the head of the business is you're really only looking for those people. And then those people build out the entire rest of the organization, could be hundreds deep below them. And so that's our focus. That's really my main focus is that.
Gotcha.
As it relates to the real estate business.
Yeah, and I was reading Get a Grip the other day, and man, that's a phenomenal book because it takes all the concepts from Traction and puts them in this like easy to understand kind of Patrick Lencioni type business fable. So if there's anybody watching going, I have no idea what he's talking about, or like that sounds really awesome, it's a great model. But yeah, if you're curious about that, as far as knowing what seats there are in your business, who's filling them, why they're filling them, whether you should move people in and out of certain roles, all that good stuff, I would start with Get a Grip. And then if you like the process that's described in that, almost like a novel style book, then move on to like Traction and Rocket Fuel and all that stuff. But just wanted to get all those out of the way first. We've got a bunch of people watching with us, so let's dive into some farming stuff. So just a quick high level question on the marketing, where it fits into the business, right? So you're doing all this farming. You're going after it's direct response farming, so you're spending you're investing a lot of money, obviously, to do farming activities to generate leads. Where are the leads going, and how do they go to your team, and who decides who they go to?
Yeah, great question. So, when our leads come in, it could be from our farm, and that's what I love about this farming conversation is if you're watching this, you really have to pay attention and listen to the concepts that we're going to share with you, what we're going to teach, this concept of direct response versus branding. Most agents are branding when they really need to be looking for response. And you might say, well, I'm not even looking to farm. That's okay, and which is completely okay. Take the concepts we're discussing, use them in your Facebook posts, use them in your dialogues, in your scripts, in your postcards, in your marketing brochures, whatever it is that you do, you can take these concepts and roll them out there.
Yeah.
All right. So hit me with the question again, Matt.
Yeah. Yeah. So the leads that come in, whether they come from the farm,
where do they go?
Where
do the leads
go?
go?
Where do they go?
So our leads come in regardless of source. Where they come in is to our ISA department.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you people listening may or may not have ISAs, but we have essentially ISAs. The ISA role is one that can mean so many different things. Okay, so some people just have ISAs that are outbound dialing all day, for example.
Right.
For us, we spend so much on marketing that we want to make sure that those marketing leads come in straight to someone who just does that, where they're not going to sit in an agent's bucket for the rest of the day or for hours at a time before they're finally responded to, and where the follow-up is going to be so systematic over time that we are ensured the highest conversion rates because we're spending too much money.
Yeah.
So our ISAs actually, their job is inbound lead response and pipeline nurture.
Okay.
And once it goes to appointment, that's where our agents begin their work. Our agents begin their work on what we call qualified opportunities, qualified appointments. And then they take them all the way to the sale. Our ISA department handles lead to appointment.
Okay. Perfect. Love it. And that's something, I mean, Greg, you've tinkered around with ISAs with some mixed results. It's definitely a big topic out there. Everybody's kind of interested in experimenting with it. And Dan, you're right. There's a million different ways to do it. Greg, what's been your experience with ISAs and what's worked the best for you so far?
For us, ISAs really never worked. Probably because the way we ran them, we didn't really know what to do. I mean, we've talked about it on the show several times in the past that you can't ask someone to do something that you've never done and then expect a better result out of them. And so we had never, I mean, I've done the outbound prospecting and everything else, as everyone obviously knows, but it's right. Where I fall down was the lead to appointment. That would be the follow-up. That would be where all the meat lives, is in that follow-up. And so this year, as I'm going through the follow-up on a more consistent basis, literally every day in my Mojo, I'm making sure every single person I'm contacting has a follow-up of some sort, so I have a reminder to contact them so no one falls between the cracks. So with me, which Dan has done a way higher superior job than I ever did, was that follow-up, that step-by-step process to get that agent into the door for the appointment. Let them take the client from that point and close them. So what we found, and there's no racism or anything behind this comment, but the average American is very used to, if they hear an accent in a voice, they're like, oh shit, telemarketer, hang up the phone, get angry. So what we found is that after we had a couple of our gals do it and just ticking off people, we just sent them to email follow-ups and communication, and that worked out so much better because we had some templates written for us, and then we just did the emails, and that helped set appointments for us. But the phones really didn't do a lot for us, and I think, Dan, I want to get your opinion. I think phones, outbound cold prospecting, like what I do on a consistent basis, I don't know if it's going to be here in 5 years or even 3 years, based upon how much the do not call us is coming around. And I think the real power is in what Dan's doing with his team. Once you get the inbound lead, then you take it and you follow up until the point of either a deal or they tell you to take a long walk off a short pier. So, again, where do you see it on the outbound prospecting side for your people? Are you guys doing a lot of that, or help me? Where are your thoughts?
Pure cold outbound prospecting, very little. And we actually were starting to grow that part of our business, and then we pulled it back and just simply focused on what I just mentioned, the inbound and the pipeline nurture. And the reason why is I just think we're in the wrong market for it, right? This isn't a strained market. This isn't an expired listing, canceled listing market. This isn't where there's a ton of pain in the market right now. Mm-hmm. And so I just think it was the wrong focus at the wrong time. Mm-hmm. And so if the market changes and there's a ton of short sale, ton of REO, market times are starting to extend, 60, 90, 100 days on market as the norm, then yeah, it's going to make a lot of sense to develop an outbound ISA department where we are reaching out and finding people that are in pain and then bringing them into our world, mm-hmm. expired listings, et cetera, right? That kind of thing. But until then, generating leads is not really the issue we have as an industry. It's not terribly expensive. If you have a tool like Commissions Inc. as an example, they have a world-class digital marketing team behind them. I mean, world-class digital marketing team behind them, spending millions of dollars a month. And so you're generating, because of that kind of scale, you're generating leads at such a low dollar per lead that the challenge isn't the lead acquisition, it's actually the lead conversion. Mm-hmm. And then when you start getting into things like farming, those are much more expensive leads, higher quality, they convert at a far greater rate, but they're expensive leads. Radio, expensive leads. And so what we decided to invest in was nurturing our pipeline start to finish, where it's a W-2's job. It's not an agent's, and we're not relying on a 1099 agent to hopefully show up and do it. Mm-hmm. It's a W-2 employee's job. Show up at a certain time, take step A, B, C, and D, and systematically follow up all the way to the appointment. Then the agent can do what they do. So that's the shift we made, Greg, and that's, frankly, it didn't work for us either. You don't have to feel about it not working for you. Outbound did not work for us in this market, yeah. at least in San Diego County. Okay, yeah, I believe you're in the Bay Area. It's just not the place and time. No, maybe not. Somewhere in the country with more distress, it possibly is working today, but not your market, not mine.
No, it's really, really not. And I think that I like the way you've structured your team, and I think I would like to see that, the way that teams go or this business goes. Let's be hyper-specific in our true strengths instead of trying to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. And a lot of the times when people try to do everything, they can't do anything. And a lot of the time, people don't like to do the prospecting, therefore they don't get the deals, therefore they go back to being a W-2 versus a 1099 because they can't hack it because they get spread too thin. I know for a fact, look at the Navy SEALs. Those guys, when they were on a SEAL team, those guys are highly trained in specifics but can do the entire job, but they don't want everybody doing the entire job. You're the sniper. You're the radio dude. You're the medic. This is how this shit runs. Stick to your avenue, and you will. This whole unit will spell it better.
Well, sorry to interrupt, but don't get me wrong. Our folks are on the phone, including our 1099s, including our agents, right? You come into the office any typical day at maybe as of 8 a.m., you're going to see guys here on the phone doing their work, trying to get new business. And their focus at that time of the morning is they're calling people that they haven't yet spoken to. So it sounds like I'm contradicting myself, but here I'm not. Who they're calling that they haven't yet spoken to are leads that came in that we've already called 7 times and have never spoken to. They're in our fishing pond. Or people we do big open houses on a regular basis, big open houses. Any given week we're adding 100+ people to our database from open house. Mm-hmm. Well, they're calling people that came to our open house, not just our open houses, not just this past weekend, but the previous weeks that we've been calling since then, but still haven't reached. So you're going to see our guys on the phone heavy, but they're going on their phone heavy with people that in some way have opted into our world, whether it's that they came to an open house, they signed up on our website, it was a Zillow lead, whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. That's who our agents are focusing their prospecting time on. That morning hour is the 1 hour of the day where our agents will still prospect, trying to go from lead to appointment, only in that I actually think it keeps them very grounded and they know there's just so much gold there. Every morning they want to show up to do that because they're setting appointments out of it. But for the rest of the day after that hour, it's all about they're following up with their actual clients' appointments while the ISA team continues 8 hours of pipeline.
Right. Yeah, no. So they're doing nurture follow up in the morning, which is, I think, they have to stay sharp on that. They've still got to. I mean, what if a catastrophe happens and they don't have your structure? They still got to go out there and fish for themselves if something were to happen. Right. Or like you said, I think it was you that said it last time. Like when someone doesn't show up on the right times, you just look at them the second time they do it. I'm so sorry. It looks like you resigned from the team. It's time for you to go on and go your merry way. Hit the bricks, sucker. You're gone. But it's true. I mean, and I that's why I do my calls. I mean, I don't have to do my outbound calls live, but I do it to keep myself sharp and to come up with new creative ways to talk with people and being real and being authentic. And I'm sure that's what your guys are doing. They're not just chewing through a script. They have a script, but they're not robots at it because they do it all the time. And then the ISAs, they're just in this flow and this flux all together. And then they go off and actually do the real estate job of showing, writing contracts, negotiating contracts, so on and so forth, all the way through to a close. But I mean, it's a really interesting question, guys. I want to see your responses in the comments over here. What do you think? Direct response, or do you want to be doing something a little bit different? And do you want to be the anti-realtor? I mean, what are you guys doing right now for your business? Because you're hearing Dan and his team, and he's crushing it. 831. I think I got that number right. Out of 5,000, he's kind of got it going on, guys. Pay the fuck attention. Take some notes. Rewind this and watch it again. Okay?
All right. So I'll just briefly mention, we haven't dived into the specifics on farming, but guys, you can learn more at agentacademy.com, and then we've got a specific link that we'll throw in the comments to lead you directly to the farming course that Dan's put together that really breaks down at a very deep tactical level exactly what we're going to talk about at a high level today. So Dan, we've kind of covered a little bit about essentially the middle of the funnel, right? What's the lead conversion process once they get into your world? Where most people's attention goes to the very top of the funnel. We'll start there with farming. So how are you bringing people into your world other than some of the things you mentioned, like open houses, for example? So let's get into the farming conversation.
So farming for us is a huge focus. I'll tell you where we are today, but it's, I think, important that we bring focus to how did we get there. Because if we only focus on where we are today, then people get overwhelmed and they say it's too much.
Yeah. So
today we're farming 32,000 houses with a direct mail campaign on a monthly basis with multiple touches. Mm-hmm. We didn't start at 32,000 houses. We started at 2,500. And with EDDM mail, just to give you an idea of it, I'm pulling out my calculator here. Mm-hmm. 2,500, you can hit them with EDDM at roughly $675.
Okay.
Now you don't have to start at 2,500. You can start at 1,000. Right? You can start at 1,200. So you can cut that 675 in half, or even lower than in half. Mm-hmm. So there's a budget that's going to work for you. The first step to understanding how big of a farm you want is how much. What's your budget? What budget can you sustain with at least 2 touches a month for at least a year? That's the budget that I want you to put together. If the math tells you that you could do 10,000 houses, great. But if the math tells you you could do 500 houses, that's where you start. Mm-hmm. And I started at 2,500 homes, and we went at it and at it and at it. And let me tell you the results. They start off slow. Okay, which is the beauty of it, because this is the barrier to entry. Most agents have such a short attention span that if you can develop a lead source that you've stuck with it and consistently gone after over time, I'll tell you, I don't believe there's a more powerful one than farming. And we can talk about why. So over time, we had some profit finally come in, months into it. And we then went to 5,000 houses. And we kept there. We went to 7,500 houses. And after that started to kick in, months later, we went to 10,000 houses. Then finally to 15,000 houses. And that journey from 2,500 to 15,000 houses, that was a 2-year journey for us.
Okay.
But that journey also began with 0 market share. It ended with number 1 market share in a very high value zip code within San Diego County. And just to give you an idea of how competitive San Diego County is, there's 22,000 agents in our county, and there's currently about 4,500 listings available. 22,000 agents and 4,500 available listings. And Greg, in your market, that may or may not sound crazy, but most markets in the country have 2,000 agents, 8,000 available listings, 10,000 available listings, okay? Four listings per agent versus a quarter of a listing per agent.
Yeah, no,
Massively competitive market, but with the steps that we took to consistently go after this geographic area, 2 years later you end up at number one market share.
yeah,
From that point,
we have zero inventory right now, and a ton of hungry agents. I mean,
exactly, it's crazy.
It's absolutely crazy. So I love the fact that you touched on the fact that, so many agents have ADHD. They're here for half a second, then boom, they're gone. I mean, I'm a victim of it myself, but I've also been taught with my father and our team, slow and steady. The tortoise always beats the hare. 100% of the time, if you stay time on task and stay diligent to the mode of prospecting and farming that you started off with, don't stop because it doesn't work month one or month two or week 2 or week 1. I mean, I'm going to guess it took you somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 to 8 months to really start seeing a return on your mailings. Months. I mean, were you somewhere in that neighborhood, I'm assuming?
Exactly.
Yeah, and people just don't see that because that month 5 and 6, the wife or the husband's smacking the other spouse upside the head and going, why the blank are you spending all our effing money when nothing's going in, nothing's coming back? You got to stay on it. Time on task. Good Lord, dyslexic. Put the words in the right order, McDaniel. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. So any of you guys listening to my voice right now or watching us live, please understand this. Whatever you're doing right now, if you just keep doing it effectively. Let's make the assumption, Dan, that they've run their turnover rates. They've looked at the competitive agents in the marketplace, if they own what type of market share and what the market's doing. They've done the business end, and then they've picked a method to go after the business. That's where people fall down. You've seen people fall down by not looking at their turnover, or if an agent has like 12 or plus % ownership of that marketplace, it's going to be like running uphill in a rainstorm with no shoes on.
So there's where I start to think a little bit differently than most, okay? Because, and by the way, this started to work so well that once we got to 15,000 houses, we went ahead and added another 17,000 immediately. So we're at 32,000 now. But the way that, to me, when you're talking about selecting your farm, yes, you want to understand what's the competition, and yes, you want to understand the turnover rate, and you want to make sure homes actually sell, and yes, you want to understand if there's a dominant agent out there. But first off, actually do the numbers. You might have a perception of a dominant agent who's not actually dominant, or a dominant agent that sure is, or the number one agent has 10% market share, or 5% market share sometimes, 7% market share. Sometimes that's the agent that you actually thought was the giant. And to me, it's just a data point that you have to assess, think about, and then make it part of the equation. But ultimately, to me, there's two things that matter most. First, there has to be turnover. There has to be at least some homes, some people need to want to sell their house. Okay? But you can't have a blanket number. Like you'll hear some people in farming courses tell you, oh, make sure it's 10%.
No.
Turnover. Make sure you have 8% turnover. Well, then no one in San Diego would farm because it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
okay?
Exactly.
If we find a zip code with a lot of turnover in San Diego, that means 4%.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay turnover maybe means 3.5%. Crazy high turnover means 5%. So understand your market.
Yeah.
But again, that also that to me is one of the data points that is most important. But then it's where do you want to work? Where do you want to do business? Where are you going to be passionate about showing up every day, of investing your time, of being a part of the community, of really giving value to what part of town? If you're trying to farm a part of town that you don't really connect with, that you don't like, it's not really your type of people, it's not really your it's not your type of spot. You're this type of person and they're those type of people. And I don't mean demographically. I mean it could be as simple as you're just the kind of white collar person that has zero ability to connect with blue collar folks.
Yeah.
Or you've always you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth and you're trying to connect with military folks in a particular area. Like you may not be the best fit there.
Yeah.
But so where do you want to work? Where do you want to actually take over, dominate, pay attention, and make a life? Because this isn't about this year, this month, this quarter. Make a life. And then I believe that's where you go after. You're just aware of the data points you've collected.
Yeah, I talk about it all the time. And I mean, if you want to live on, like I had my boat here, if you want to live on a lake and dominate the lake and you want to take your boat to listing appointments and wear board shorts and flip-flops and that's acceptable, and you can't stand three-piece suits and living in Manhattan or downtown urban anything, then go after those markets. Be the lake bum and just cruise around in your boat and chill. But I mean, I don't like new houses. Just don't fucking like them. They creep me out. I mean, they haven't been seasoned. I don't know. I really don't like them. And so I don't work new home markets.
Like new construction.
I don't like new construction. They're fucking weird, dude. I just stay away from them. But I like the old ranchers with style and taste, and people put effort in their own personal style to it. And there are mature neighborhoods, and there's trees there that you can actually climb instead of sticks that they planted 2 months ago. Besides, when you door knock on new developments, there's no shade in the summer. And in Northern California,
so
that's like walking in the sun. Ugh.
So check that out. You obviously have a passion for those homes, the ranches with the style, with the trees, the maturity. So that passion you have for that space is going to be more important than if the number one agent, when you go in, has 8% or 10% or 12%, because you're going to eat away at that over time and take them over. The most important thing that's going to give you what most agents will always fail at is the consistency, and you're going to get it from that very passion you feel for that type of product.
Yeah, so that's a good point. And Dan, in the last few minutes that we have left, because I want to wrap this one up in about 10 minutes, you talk about going after an area that already has kind of what we might consider a dominant agent or maybe a lead agent, just whoever is doing the most business in that area, which is where you get into, like, look, if you're going to go head-to-head with somebody who is, let's say dominating an area, for lack of better terms, that doesn't mean you can't go in. You just have to have a competitive advantage. You have to have some point of differentiation. And so I want you to get into your market differentiation formula, and let's close out with that.
Sure. So when you're looking at this, it's you're going to go after this farm. There's a dominant agent of some level, and you need to go in different than anybody else. Mm-hmm. Okay? You can't go in with the same voice. Let's understand that as an industry, we've become commoditized. Yeah. Everyone's saying the same things. Everyone leaves real estate school and they're regurgitating that, oh gosh, I have to, Mr. Seller, I'm going to sell your home in the fastest amount of time for the, most amount of money. I'm going to get you the most marketable bear. Everyone's saying the same thing. And so in marketing, and this is what I funnel all my marketing messages through, or even all of our dialogues, our scripts, our buyer presentation, our seller presentation, you always want to think about what are they doing, okay? What are they doing out there? And it happens to be, I have my whiteboard out back behind me, so I'll just write this up here. Starts with they, meaning the masses, the mediocrity out there. Mm-hmm. I hope you're not offended by that, but this is an incredibly mediocre industry, right? Like if you're anything like me, you went through very little effort to get licensed. And we could have a long discussion about all of the issues around that, just all the way down from NAR to where we're at in our respective local markets. But that's also the opportunity. The opportunity is that they all sound the same. They're all doing and regurgitating the same buzzwords. So there's an issue around that. Whatever aspect of your marketing you're trying to hone in, think about crafting your message in regards to something like Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller. Here's what they do. Here's what we see in the marketplace. Here's what's common. Here's what you typically will see out there. And there's something they all do. And what they all do naturally has, I don't even know if you can see this behind me, but what they all do naturally has pain points. There's pain points associated. Okay, this could be as simple as, Mr. Seller, they all try to run their own paperwork, right? Like what's common is, when it comes to the transaction, even something as simple as that, they all try to run their own paperwork. They're also trying to show buyers homes, list houses, run here, run there, answer the phones, are doing too much. That creates issues around leads that are, opportunities that are sitting around, offers that aren't responded to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's pain points, right? Buyers, how do they all find homes right now? Well, they basically just see email alerts and go to open houses and see what pops up on Zillow, and they're all looking at the same darn things, which means that no one has an advantage. So for your farming or any other part of your marketing, think about what all the agents in your market are doing in respect to whatever part you're trying to solve in the business and the pain points associated, which then leads to your solution. It's always good to name it. And if you can, trademark it. Okay? Name it and trademark it. So now you're having a discussion with sellers and you start weaving this trademark into your marketing message. Here's what we see out there and the issues around it. Here's all the problems we see with what's typically delivered, Mr. Seller, in the marketplace. And because of that, we've developed this process, this system named, we have a trademark, the 5-Day Blitz. We've developed our trademarked process. Just the fact that it's trademarked, which by the way isn't very hard to do, makes you already look different, because what agent has a trademark? No one, right? Developed called the 5-Day Blitz, and here's what it looks like. Point, 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 which attacks these pain points and solves them. And because of that, you know how most agents will present with their, now you can brag, okay? Most agents will present with, well, really, let's call this proof. Most agents' presentations will begin with, Mr. Seller, let me tell you about us. We've won this award. We're the number one here. We're the number one. Our brokerage is the best, blah, 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 blah. They're bored to death. They're flipping through some book. Okay, now let's talk about what you actually brought me here for. No one cares. They do, however, care if it sounds something like this. Here's what we see out there, and the pain around it is what we have experienced. Hey, you become humble. In fact, I used to do that too. You know, I came into the business, I didn't really know what to do. I actually did that for 8 years. And so here's the pain that's created. I know because I experienced it. This is the pain created in the marketplace because of what's traditionally done. And finally, I developed this system called this trademarked word. And here's what it looks like. Step 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. Which systematically solves the pain. And because of that, Mr. Seller, is the reason that we've been recognized by the Wall Street Journal among the top 150 teams in the country. And because of that's why we're in the top 1% of our local marketplace. And because of that's why our average list to sales price ratio exceeds the market average by over 2%, netting you more money. And you get that? That's where the brag belongs. That's where the proof goes. So this is how you conceptualize your message, your buyer presentation, your listing presentation. This is how you conceptualize everything, and when you name and trademark it, it starts to give your business an identity. So if you go and look at any of my farming materials, they tell stories about the 5-Day Blitz and about Jim and Jane who needed to get to Dallas, but they couldn't get there because they had been on the market for 6 months and were in so much pain with a different agent. And so they finally called us and they'd heard about our 5-Day Blitz, so they gave it a shot, and lo and behold, their home was sold in 6 days at 102% of the asking price. Tip, because we're running out of time, never give the price in any of your marketing. The formula is sold in X days at X% of ask. That resonates with everybody. Okay? You say you sold it for $1 million, the guy at 500,000 doesn't give a crap. So if you sold it for 500, the guy at $1 million doesn't give a crap. Never give the price. It's always sold at X amount of days at X amount of the asking price.
Gotcha.
And an X amount of days at X% of the asking price, and never give an address. Because now you can take that marketing piece and deliver it here, or there. When someone if you receive anything at your home, you think it's about someone around the corner. So everyone thinks everything's about them. They don't know it could have been an hour down the road. Another tip, what's just sold? To me, it's 3 years. To you, it's a week. Well, to me, it's there's no definition of just sold. Okay, so use what you have. Don't make excuses why you can't. But anyhow, now you start seeing that. And they heard about the 5-Day Blitz trademarked, and you know, now the family's reunited in Dallas, and the kids are happy, and life is good. So you're gonna start weaving that into your marketing. I know we're short on time. I'm going incredibly fast here.
Good.
But this is also fully detailed out along with scaling your farm, how you go from just starting the farm all the way to launching it. There's a launch strategy. There's a formula to how you launch and then how you sustain over time.
Mm-hmm.
Direct response. One of the biggest things we see out there is that agents in all of their messaging, they're just branding, telling people, hey, call me because I'm the best looking in town, or you can trust me, or I'm the neighborhood specialist.
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave you with this. If your marketing message doesn't make you a little nervous, if it's not a little bit, it doesn't have more edge to it, more perceived risk to you, but perceived benefit to them, if your marketing doesn't make you nervous, then it means it sounds and looks like everybody else's, which means no one notices you.
Yeah.
What we talk about in Agent Academy Millionaire Farming Protocol is we go through risk reversal. How do you incorporate risk reversal, which guys like Tony Robbins have built their business on risk reversal? How do you incorporate risk reversal in direct response so you have a measured accounting of the effectiveness of your campaign, and in the consumer's eyes takes risk off their shoulders and you put it onto your own. But when you understand your business, the risk isn't really there. And we go deep on that in the course. It's a 5-week course, and I'll give you as much of it as you'll allow me time here. Give you the whole course if you want.
We're canceling our flight to Detroit. We're staying on with Dan. Get a cup of water. Everybody dig in.
Yeah.
That was awesome, man.
Yeah? Awesome.
Yeah,
very,
good
cool
stuff, guys. If you guys got value out of that, take the frickin' course. That's some good stuff. He laid it out in 20 minutes for you, and that's some good stuff right there.
Yeah, and like you said, Dan, I want to reinforce at the top of it. This isn't about, number one, it's not about numbers. It's not about that this only works when you farm 15 or 30,000 homes. That's absolutely not correct. It's not even about farming. So farming is just like you're sending these messages to a geographic farm. You could also just as easily take the same approach and do a social farm, which is your sphere or the people that you know on Facebook, like whatever the case is, like these principles of risk reversal and making sure that you have a differentiation factor in the market, like all those apply whether you're farming a geographic area, a socioeconomic area, your sphere, or any other group of people.
It's really a direct response course wrapped around real estate. And the coolest thing is, we did $164 million of real estate this past year. 35% of our sides and 45% of our revenue was in our farm.
Wow.
Right. So it generated, it actually still blows my mind when I think about the fact that people are handing multiple millions of dollars in commission to our team on a regular basis, on a yearly basis. Mm-hmm. And it's an incredible industry to be in. It's a fun industry because we get to, it's the cool thing about real estate is that you really get to have the opportunity to learn and study all aspects of business, or definitely of small business. Mm-hmm. And that learning, that studying, that immersion, that obsession with what's out there, what's working, let me learn it, let me replicate, is exactly how I've gotten the team to where we've gotten the team here locally. So
awesome, man.
Been fun, man, and thanks for having me here.
No, we appreciate it. That was insanely good. Guys, so we'll wrap that up right there. Greg, I think, is going to throw the specific link to the farming protocol into the Facebook comments. Guys, if you're listening to this after the fact, just shortcut agentacademy.com. You can get everything from there that Dan has got going on, including the farming protocol and anything and everything else that he's doing for agents. And then, Dan, if they want to just reach out and connect with you specifically, what's the best way for them to do that?
Two things they could do. One is you simply can email dan@beerhometeam.com. Okay, so Dan@beer spelled just like the drink, hometeam.com. The other is there's a real investment required for the farming course. But the other way to really connect on a monthly basis and train live together 60 to 90 minutes, where you also bring your particular business questions and we workshop them live every single month, is in our inner circle. So if you go to agentacademy.com, at the very least, download the free business plan that we have there for you. But check out the courses page. You'll see the farming course there, but at a virtually free level, $67 a month, it literally pays for the video guy and the stuff I have to bring in just to produce it. And we're hoping to generate referrals from it. I actually go on live with you 60 to 90 minutes in a private training room. And not only do I teach you exactly what we see working in the business right now, but then we workshop your business issues. So those are the two best ways. That's agentsacademy.com.
Very, very cool, man. All right, guys. So make sure to go there. We've got the link in the Facebook comments. And then for the show itself, make sure to subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, or Stitcher. Leave us a review. We appreciate all that you guys do to share the show. You guys notice that we don't do, you don't see Facebook ads and things like that for the show. The show grows because you guys share it with your fellow agents and your brokers, and we love you guys for that. Greg, what's the best way to reach out and connect with you?
Guys, follow me on Facebook. I can't take any more friends, but I will take followers, so you guys can see what I'm doing. I do a live prospecting show every day to kind of show you guys it's not bad. I get yelled at too, so it's not just you. Also, go to bookmcdaniel.com, guys. Matt and I are doing a national EXP team. We've switched over to EXP, as you guys well know. We are taking people from all parts of the country. Some areas are still getting brokers, but we would love to talk to you. Go to bookmcdaniel.com, book 30 minutes with me, see of EXP, see what our team is, see the value add that we bring besides what EXP brings, on how you can build your 3 revenue streams and build wealth, not just an income, and don't just go to a job. Go to something that's going to pay you and your family dividends for decades down the road, doing what you already do, and that's something we can talk and see if it's a good fit for you. So anyways, guys, we absolutely love you. We do this show because we love you, because we want to see you guys be the most epically successful version of yourself and give you as much knowledge. Like Dan just dropped like an atomic bomb of goodness and knowledge. If you just take those 4 bullet points behind you, go back and rewind this, guys. If you're listening to this, just write them down. There goes left to right. And you can just put this together, just put that into action. Reach out to Dan if you want to go deeper with him. I know that this will benefit your business. So reach out to Dan, stalk Matt, follow me, and go to bookmcdaniel.com to learn about our EXP team, guys. Matt, what do you want to do with this show?
I believe we're going to put a bow on it, Greg.
We are, guys. We're putting a bow on this thing. Until next time, guys. Peace out, ninjas!